So, it's a Laverne and Shay. I wasn't going to talk on this video, but thought I'd share something. So, I talk to all types of people. I'm very comfortable with that now that I know my race. It's mixed. I have a mixed nationality. A big mix, and who cares, right? So I understand a lot of us, I thought we were raised African American. We have several traits of different races. Must be nice to have a gate and run around. These little kids are having too much fun. Yeah, I talked to all kinds of people. I had a conversation with this white man. I don't know his nationality, but I saw his hesitation to do business with me or to talk to me, and I kind of didn't understand, but I did, and I wanted to ask him what was the deal, but we did start talking, and we started talking about the riots and the politics and all of this stuff. And I guess talking to me, he just got comfortable. He was honest with himself of what he thought and how he felt. And I'm sitting here like, right is right. Right is right. I get it, but I had a different stance because of a personal situation, and that is whenever the riots were going, prior to the riots, I had someone tearing up my car and anything they can get their hands on. In fact, I have a whole bunch of stuff lost right now because some boy wanted to play house with his cousin's family, and she wanted to confront me because this is what they do. She thinks she's on his team because they play these little games all the time. Now, this had nothing to do with her, but she thought she'd jump in and get a little spotlight. So he asks me to open the door for no real reason. He doesn't like me because he's hateful, and he can't control me to the point where he can control her, because they've been grooming these little girls probably since single digits age, So they know the game. They don't even know they're in a sex game, sex trafficking game. One good clue is you're related, but they don't understand that. They don't understand that you're not supposed to sleep with people that are related to you. Now, see, because boys have a lot of children with a lot of different girls, and they're not married, they don't see it as a real legitimate relationship or familyship. So their cousins and various people come along and have sex with the sister, cousin, nephew's sister, friend, and all that, and it's still related. It's still relations. But because of their greed and their ignorance, they find it okay to do that, and these girls don't think. It's a whole billion big world out here, billions of people, and I don't know if they got low self-esteem or they just use the community dingling. I have no idea, but they do not, they don't look for marriage. I mean, how do you marry your cousin's baby daddy's cousin? Your sister's baby's daddy's cousin. I mean, it's still family, but you get all types of dysfunction. It's none of my business. So, I mean, you could, especially if you're a certain age, I guess you can still marry in a family, but once again, that's, who cares? But my point is, I've seen the dysfunction. I would have never believed it if I wasn't sitting in the middle. I thought this was just TV stuff. You see it on the news. It's a real, okay? It's really real. So I was talking to the white man, and I was telling him how, we're human. Things happen. No excuses. He said somewhere along the way, well, it's the black mother's fault. It's the black mothers. They support these guys. They do riots. They support these kids, and these kids come from dysfunction. Didn't nobody question that, And then he said, if the black mothers would be more responsible to raising their children versus supporting everything they did, good or bad, which is never really good, I'm telling you. hardly. And I care less what you think and what comes from this, but my point is, right is right. And the situation that I'm talking about, this guy does a lot of wrong. Family members are not. A lot of wrong, and people go with it, and they support him. And they don't realize it's criminal, immoral, and nasty. They support him, teaming up on me, little me, because I said he tried to use me. He tried. And I was like, look, this is how this goes. That's not how it goes. His mom wanted to fight. He wanted to fight with his mom. But he kind of liked me. But he couldn't get me on that stupid side. They tried real hard to get me on the stupid side. But I wouldn't go. Because I understood there's a good way. Not a better way. There's a good way of doing relationships. And being stupid wasn't one of them. Okay? You don't have to lie and deceive people to get what you want in this life. But see, they like the deceit, they like the fun, and the white man was like, yeah, you know, this, that, and the other, and it's the black mother's fault and I agree that women are very supportive of dysfunction. They are, and I explained to him some of these women were very young when they were groomed to be out here. So they really don't know what they're doing. There's no book for a 13-year-old that tells you how to be a mother. You know, who's watching these kids? And he was on his own rant by now. He was gone. And I was like, hello. And I said, I completely understand what you're saying. It happened to me. But these guys are grooming these girls. It's a cycle. They groom little girls to be receptive. Family or not, they're familiar. And this is why these women are so comfortable at this age, not being married, not having any stability. These guys come and go. They use them whenever. One gets done using her for whatever. Another one comes in, and it's just she don't get it. She's being used. And so I'm like, God, somebody needs to tell these women this is ridiculous. Now, they can do what they want, but I don't really think they're aware of the fact that they're in this sex meal, and the guys are looking for not really sex, money and provision. They're not looking to work hard. They're looking for girls that are familiar with them, that feels comfortable to do things with them, family or not. And that's what happened. And, you know, it's not to hurt anybody. And it's none of my business, but you made it mine when you put me in it. Because that's not how I live. That's not what I do. So you can't get mad at me. Okay? You should have never invited me. You should have kept it in the community with the family members, sleeping with the family members, instead of bringing me into that mess. I mean, really, you keep it in the community. Keep it in the family. I bet you every time there's trouble, it's because they're dipping out into the real world trying to find real relationships. But that's not what they want, because the real relationships require the men to be men, mostly. But see, the women in the family, they support the foolishness. Him laying around. All the kids know him. He's very familiar. He's a familiar face. He's been at all the cousins' parties because they're family. And they're doing all kinds of stuff together that they probably should not be doing. But the women are allowing it. And now they got daughters watching this mess. They got sons watching this mess. And guess what? In that community, it's okay to sleep with your cousins, sisters, a baby mama's friend. I mean, it's just sick. But that's their lifestyle. They don't want me saying anything about it. But again, you shouldn't put me in it. Because I would never sleep with my cousins' brother's cousin's brother, or cousin's baby mama's nephew, sister, brother, cousin's friend. That's too much. It's too related. Too much confusion. And nobody, because their children, when they start this mess, really look at who's related to who. They just know it's somebody's cousin's nephew, which don't have to be true. They don't really care. Amazing. So he went all off into his rant. What he said was very valid, but I don't think it's all the responsibilities of the mothers. These guys have groomed these babies, these little girls, to be sex objects. And his mother was trying to get me to do it, and that's why me and him fell out. She was really trying to tell me, let him do what he wants. He's a man. You don't have to be happy, but let him have what he wants. And that's what she's doing. She's most miserable. She's ready to go. So how are you coaching me? How are you coaching me? So, I don't know. All I know is there's an African trying to get into my account, talking about he's going to take my most intimate photos and pictures and put them online. That's all I know. That's all I know. So from what I understand, he wanted to wait a couple years from now. First he said a year, then he said 6 months. And then he pushed it back off for me to wait for him to stop playing these games, because he still plays games. I mean, it's easy money to just lay up there and say, give me your debit card. Because they've been knowing you since 9. They've been knowing you since babies, and y'all the same age. So they've been messing around with these girls for a long time, and these girls just found them familiar. And I just think that is so disgusting. Because guess what? You got me wrapped up. I'm looking for something long term, but you're busy trying to play house maker with her, your cousin's people. You know, so it's just community. It's what it is. It's none of my business. It's easy money for these guys, and I should be talking, because I'm sure they want to kill me by now, because I'm exposing them. But I mean, there's some truth to the anger. I'm not sure why. Well, I can understand why people are upset. Again, I don't think that it's no one issue. It's a bunch of people that are responsible, because people got to watch the kids. No one's watching these children, and they're growing up into these fabulous, fascinating adults, period. They just are. And they're out here causing all kinds of havoc. Don't care. The mamas protect them and help them do whatever. Bad, good, mean, ugly. They are definitely not very mature at all. That's not mature. Well, if your daughter, somebody said something about your daughter, I just could see, that's the mentality that they've been taught from little girls. I'm telling you, it's nothing personal. That's how they've been trained. So my thing is, if someone came and told me something that my daughter was doing, first of all, I know who it's coming from, and I know how they are, and I know how my daughter is, and with the grain of salt, I know how to say, I warned you. That's it. I tell anybody who my daughter is and how she is, because she don't deal with just total strangers. I'll tell anybody who and how she is, but most likely they've already found that out. So my point is, I'm on her side, and good or wrong, good or bad, right or wrong, but I'm not supporting her being wrong. You know, if someone comes and say, your daughter is out of line, and they explain to me what's going on, I'm going to talk to her. Didn't I tell you, out of love, that that's not how this goes? You cannot, continue to, do that. That's not right. It's not going to